All right, good morning, traders. Welcome again to Beyond Profile, our second day here. Take a look at the markets in the overnight session. We've been very quiet. All right, not much range, very narrow. A lot of distribution occurring at the highs, though. There's been a lot of volume going off at the highs from last night. Our ADP report out this morning, not much action from that. And we can see on the S&P daily chart here that we have broken out of our balance area. And again, pushing outside of the whole number of 1300. Today's going to be interesting from the perspective that if they set up a pause day for continuation higher, but there is an underlying, a lot of seems to be distribution already occurring in the overnight Globex session. We have to be very careful up here at these highs, even though this may be a new stage one, because of the divergence that we're seeing in the distribution of volume up here at the highs since last night, causes me to just pause here a moment and wonder if whether this may be in fact a probe failure outside of the balance area. And at that point, what will happen is that this market will give us that drawdown that we were talking about yesterday through all of these levels, back through even this low from last Friday, and head back towards these levels of 1254 and a quarter and then 1239. So today's trading action will be a pivotal area for us. It'll be either we're going to hold, and it'll be a small rotation day, and we'll look for continuation, or if it fails, all right, if it starts to fail and starts to close back in by the end of the day, back inside of these prior pivot highs here, like 1297 or so, we may have to look at this as a possible probe failure outside of the unfair high territory of this last value area, which means that we would shift gears here and we would come back through these range and make a deeper move into these prior volume nodes. All right, that's on the S&P market, okay, because we did make new yearly highs yesterday. That market, again, very resilient, if you will, and playing catch up as there's money coming out of the tech stocks and moving into some of the financials. All right, so here's the NASDAQ. It still is in the balance area of the prior session from that began back at the beginning of the year, January. All it's done doing is auctioning back and forth, unfair highs, unfair lows, unfair highs, unfair lows. Yesterday, hit the top of the end of that again, and this morning we're actually a little bit lower. This same concern is existing on the NASDAQ, as we have a lot of selling intensity that has started to show up around 1 to 2 o'clock in the morning. Actually, it showed up earlier than that on the NASDAQ. It started as early as 10:30 last night on the NASDAQ. So you really have to put a question mark on this as to how much distribution is really occurring up here at these highs. And because this didn't break out either, this may be, again, they're trying to draw, retail traders into the market thinking that we're going a lot higher. And in order for the institutions to sell into, they have to create a market. So we need to be very cautious over, again, the same situation here. And I would treat actually probably the NASDAQ with more emphasis on that distribution and selling, because if they're taking money out of, techs and rotating them into other sectors, this one here should get a nice, break in this action and get this thing to push down. As low as the first areas would be back down this 2211 area to 2200. That would have been the last volume nodes from the month of December, would have been right here. Okay, so that would be one of our areas, and then again we could go ahead and composite some of those and look to see what actually is what it looks like over a composite 2-month time frame. So this morning we're going to have a little bitty gap down. We've got settlement at the 23-22 area that we would look to possibly sell into that. And again, on the overnight session, there's been supply coming in 2320s pretty consistently here now for almost the last 6 hours. So this one we will favor today as far as shorting. Okay. Here's the Euro market, continues its uptrend, obviously, broke out of the balance area yesterday. I would be looking at these opportunities in this thing, as I said this morning when we were looking at this. The 30-minute, 60-minute time frame is in a downtrend. There was a couple volume nodes here. I know some of you were looking at buying, and again, as I said this morning, why do we want to buy a B formation on a 5-minute time frame? All they were doing is taking the opportunity in these rallies up to sell into these areas. All right, so this looks like it wants to drop. I've got two areas down below us here for the euro. The first one would be 37.36, and the next one would be the volume node for the week, which would be down at 3700 or 3705. That would put us back at the top of this box. And again, almost the same scenario we had earlier in this market would be is what happens if we fail to break outside of this prior pivot high of this value area. This would be a probe failure. that means we go back through the range again and come back down to the 3440 area. All right, got to be aware of that. I know we've been looking for the 40 area, which is way up over here, that high volume node. But again, if this turns into a probe failure of this new stage 1 and it pulls back into the balance area of the 3, you've got to look for it to come out the other end. I would be looking to aggressively short this area right here if in fact that did occur, and then trade it back down to the bottom of this box territory, because there's not much in the way. After you get through the pivots on Friday, it's all air. Look at this NASDAQ go, you guys. It busted that level, and she's a smoking now down to the downside here. So we will be focusing on bounces this morning. As I said again, there's a lot of imbalance here in both the S&P, NASDAQ, Euro. All of these markets have strong imbalances. So anytime we have those strong imbalances, either up or down, you've got to be ready and armed for just a clean imbalance right straight back down in those opposite directions. All right. You guys have a good trading day. That's our morning update, and we'll be ready to go here at the open.